Hi, we are at a spot in Florence that I think it is super cool. We are right at the Arno River, and we are actually at a bridge. And there is one bridge in particular where I'm standing, and I'll tell you why. It is the Ponte Santa Trinità. And it is a remarkable location, not just because it's cool, but because it is actually the spot that is in this picture, in this incredible painting. And this is actually a painting of Dante, you know, the amazing Italian poet who was Florentine to the bone. Even though he was exiled from Florence, it drove him crazy that he had to be away from Florence. And it was all because of political struggles. It was kind of like trumped up charges. But he was a wonderful, amazing poet. And the story of his life at one point was that when he was very, very young, he was walking down the Arno River, right where we are now, and he saw this beautiful woman with her friends. And that was Beatrice Portinari, who was of a very prominent local family. And he fell instantly in love with her. And he was in love with her his whole life, even though he married and had kids with someone else. She died sadly at an early age. But the story of Dante and Beatrice, or Dante and Beatrice, as we would say, is legendary. It is the love story of the century, of the ages. And this is, I wanted to come here because I love Dante so much and I love the story so much. And I wanted you to see that this very spot exists. You see in the background the Ponte Vecchio. This still is right here. And even today you can come and see exactly where this amazing love affair began. Love at first sight, for real.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that so much. This tonight, I want to talk about what it kind of really inspired this book and why going to that corner in Florence changed everything about it and made me want to write about love. And I thought I'd bring on a special guest. Who is it? Talk about love, baby. Talk about love at first sight. Okay, Bradley Cooper. Those of you who sometimes follow me on social media, you know that I have a crush on Bradley Cooper. I hope that you have a crush on Bradley. You should have a crush on Bradley Cooper. How can you not? But so when kids started to get books called Flat Stanley, I thought I could have a book called Flat. I could have Flat Bradley, and here he is, and he lives with me in my house, and we watch the Eagles together because we have so much in common. Love. There can be romantic love, right? But there's lots of different kinds of love. Right now, I'm not dating anybody. Right now, as in like the past 20 years. But I have a lot of love in my life. And what happened in this book, okay, Bradley, that's enough. Time to go. What happened with this book is that as I've said to you before, I didn't have, when I was writing, where's the book? When I was writing The Unraveling of Julia, I didn't have an outline. I only knew the basic idea for the plot, which is that a woman was going to have this inherit a mysterious villa and a lot of money in Tuscany, but she wasn't going to know who her benefactor was. She didn't recognize the woman's name. She was a total stranger. But then what happened was Julia happens to be adopted and doesn't know anything about birth family. So as soon as she inherits this money and this incredible bequest and this villa, she's going to go to Tuscany. She's lost her husband too, so she's a very young widow. And she's grieving. And while she's there, well, things happen, and that's what the book is about. She's trying to find, who is this person who left me this money? And could this person actually be a blood relative of mine? And that's the mystery that she begins to unfold. It unravels her, as you can guess from the title, because you're not dumb. But the thing, Edie, no thing three in your future, not likely. In any event, so that was the idea of the plot. And I went to Tuscany to learn about, I'm going walking around Florence. And then I started to think about Dante. And I always sort of interested in Dante. So I had started to reread Dante. And then I got so interested in Dante that I actually took a course online. I love this age we live in, where if you're home, you can listen to, you can learn all about Dante from a course named Professor Luzzi of Bard College. And it was all about reading Inferno and Purgatorio and Paradiso, which were Dante's greatest works. And he teaches you to read it because I'd read it in college, but I didn't remember it. And I started thinking about Dante. So it all came back to me when I was in Florence, because I was like, Lisa, you idiot. By the way, I noticed my beautiful daughter, Francesca Saratella, is on. Yay! I love you, honey. We're talking about your book and you and your perfume. Stay tuned. I'm talking about Dante now. I'm keeping it classy for our family. In any event, I said to myself, Lisa, Florence is ground zero for Dante. The town, he was born there. The town loves him. He lived there. They revere him. His statues everywhere. And then I started to think, I started reading about Dante. Here's my beautiful copy of Divine Comedy. Then I started to read all about his life, Dante, Historian Time. I'm dropping all the books. Then this, which is a novelization of him and him in love. I'm trying to follow up on this lifetime love story for the ages. I mean, he wrote it in the 1200s, and he basically has Beatrice. He wrote about her when he first met her. Her name was 9. Remember, the marriage age was around 12, 13 years old, so it's not that crazy. And he fell in love with her. It was at a friend's garden. And then he sees her again when he's 13 or 14. I forget. I think it's 14. They're both 14. They were contemporaries. And at that actual intersection, I said, oh my God, Lisa, you are in Florence. You can go find that intersection. So I looked up the painting, which you can look up too. I look it up, but I will mess up my Facebook thing. I'm like, this is incredible. Think about this. For my heart got full. I was like, wow, you are at this location where it is a matter of fact that the great Dante, who wrote the greatest poem in Italian ever written, maybe the greatest poem ever written, and was in love with her his whole life long, as I said, even as they went on to marry different people. His love for her wasn't physical. It wasn't like me and Flat Bradley, for example. It was on a spiritual plane. It was so spiritual, in fact, that it was clearly love at first sight. He believed in it. Secretly, I kind of believe in it too. Unfortunately, it doesn't always go right. But for me, it didn't go right. But I have a low flashpoint. In any event, what happens in his life is when he begins to write about her. First, when he meets her in La Vita Nuova, he wrote about her. And then in the whole Inferno trilogy, he ends up talking about how much his love for her, she becomes an angel in Paradiso, which is the last volume. And the point he makes very deftly and subtly, though, she guides him to heaven, and she replaces Virgil as his guide from hell to purgatory, and then ascending to heaven, where she is an angel. And it's very clear that the love that Dante is talking about isn't an earthly love at all. It's a love that is so spiritual that it is almost a religious level. It is, and I think love at its best, love to be that inspiring. Like, there's something that happens that when you love somebody or something, or that love, it's such a positive energy, and it connects you. The family unit is a family that in theory you fight, but you love each other. I'm connected to my daughter by a love that's very, very strong. I adore her. That kind of love is ennobling. That was the point Dante wanted to make. That kind of love fills up your spirit. That's the kind of love that maybe you can only have if you're a fully realized human. Your brain is working, your heart is working, your soul is open to it. And at the same time, to me, it can be for anything. I mean, Dante and Beatrice never got together. As I say, they married different people. She had children. She died at a young age. I think it was from some complication of childbirth. She died at like 24. But he always loved her. He just loved her. And I think that's the other wonderful point. And all of this got into the unraveling of Julia. Because what happens to Julia is that right when the book starts, her husband dies. He's murdered in front of her during a mugging. And then the rest of the book, all these things happen. She meets another man. She has to deal with kind of how she feels about that. But the thing that what we discover in this novel is sort of a reiteration of something we might not have known, but that I lived through when I wrote it, which is that love never dies. It just doesn't. That's Dante's point. It could be love of God. It could be love of Beatrice. It could be love of your fellow man. It could be love of your best friend. I have great best friends. One of them, Frankie, gave me my birthday sweater. My birthday's tomorrow. Laura's my other one. My daughter is my best friend. I mean, I love, and the human's capacity to love is imbued in this book. Julia has a struggle. When can you let go? Is to love another man to somehow to betray the previous one. She has a really great best friend in this book who comes to her aid against all odds. That's love. The love we girlfriends have for each other or men have for their friends, that's love. And all of that love is an energy and it becomes a life force in this book. And in a way, it powers Julia's journey into her own self, not just the mystery of her identity, but actually, I don't want to give anything away, but actually into discovering some powers that she didn't know she had. So thank you for that very nice review, Kirkus. But when they said it's kind of a fairy tale for grown-ups, I guess that's one way to put it. I think of it as kind of a love story and a psychological story and a thriller and an everything kind of story for everyone. But I will tell you that the cool thing about something like reading someone like Dante or reading anything or reading any book at all is that it can inspire you in ways you didn't know. I find that every time I read anything modern, and I'm not talking, it doesn't have to be some classic that you might need a professor to help you through. Any book I read, all the books behind me, all the books I collect, everything inspires me in some way. Art inspires other art, and art inspires life. And I think it speaks to our better selves and our better angels. And that was really what Dante was trying to tell us, that there is a soul and it aspires to love. And that's what it is to be human. So I felt all those things when I was on that bridge. And I feel them still. And I hope you feel them when you read the book. So I am very, very grateful for all the blessings in my life, my beautiful daughter, my amazing friends, and all of you. I couldn't be happier or more grateful. I'm thankful for so much. You're all so wonderful. Thank you again. And I'll see you next birthday. Okay. Bye-bye.